Well, week 10 is well underway, but we are going to be reviewing week 9 tonight. Welcome to
Well,
another
week 10 is
edition
well
of
underway,
League
but
One
we
on
are
the
going to be
Rocks. My name is
reviewing
Rich. You can
week
find me
9
on Twitter
tonight.
at I'm Rich, but I'm not. Joined as always by Brian. You can find him on Twitter at Mediocre Ace. Brian, how's it going?
Pretty good so far. Miami's up 90 to 84 with 2 minutes left in the third. So, like I said on Twitter, I may be a little distracted and lose my train of thought every once in a while here because I am also watching NBA basketball. Miami Heat is my team, so I am watching them, and playoff basketball is my favorite sport to watch. So, just a forewarning to everybody out there.
For playoff, basketball is your favorite playoff one to watch?
hmm
Yeah. For me,
Basketball
it's
is my
hockey.
favorite sport in general to
Oh,
watch,
okay.
but especially playoff NBA basketball. It is my favorite.
Soccer is my favorite sport, but as far as playoffs, I would go with hockey. That's my favorite.
Hockey playoffs are very good as well.
Yeah.
It's like baseball for me. That's the only time I'll watch professional baseball or hockey is when it comes to playoff time.
Yeah.
So
Yep. I can understand that.
just a lot of games, and with hockey
Yeah.
too, it's hard because a lot of the hockey games are on like ESPN Plus or stuff like that. So like if I'm out at a bar or something, they have to like have the ESPN Plus package to be able to watch half of them. So
Yep.
it is nice though when I come home from work and I can see like randomly the Rangers are playing the Penguins or something like that and turn that
Yeah.
on and watch it.
And you said your team is the Rangers?
The Rangers, yeah.
Nice.
And that's literally a luck of the draw kind of thing. My dad had a Rangers jersey sitting in his closet, and I just happened to find it and ask if I could have it. So then the Rangers became my team.
Was it a Messier jersey?
I couldn't tell you what
Oh
who
yeah.
a player was. Yeah, I don't have it anymore. I don't actually know what happened to it, but
Well, if you're a kid, you probably can't fit into it anyway. So,
no, I think
no.
it was more like a pajama T-shirt kind of thing.
Oh, gotcha. Well, oh shoot, I just overflowed. What are you drinking tonight? Oh, I gotta.
Um, I've got water, but because I was watching the playoffs earlier, did have a couple of beers before, so just to calm the nerves because it's a big game tonight. So
Eastern Conference Finals,
Eastern Conference Finals, Game One,
Game
Celtics
One.
and Heat.
Nice. I am drinking Modelo. I just tried to add some lime juice in there, and oops, spilled it a little bit.
It'll overflow a little bit as soon as that
Yeah,
lime juice hits that. It starts to bubble up a little bit.
yeah. We're all good though. Let me just do the old-fashioned pull up the sleeve and give it a good
Oh yeah,
wipe.
oh yeah. I do that on a daily basis.
Yeah. All right. All good. Well, week 9, we had some very intriguing matchups. And by the end of week 9, Ford Madison jumped 4 places in the standings to get themselves up to 5th place. So they had a heck of a week, especially coming off that big win against North Carolina.
hmm
Uh, Man, some big results here. I mean, you go from Madison beating the number 1 club in the league to Lexington beating the number 2 club in the league in Charlotte with their 1-0 victory. I mean, just some crazy results.
Very much so. This is a league of chaos, and it is starting to rear its head again.
Yeah. And the match that we previewed with Greenville hosting Richmond lived up to expectations because man, it was a battle of the heavyweights there. That was
hmm
a fun one to watch.
Yeah, that looked like one of those old, it'd be like Frazier Ali fights. Two
Yeah.
heavyweights going at it, the two best in the business going at it. Um, just a great match all around. A lot of
Ended
great
up in
matches.
Yeah, ended up in a 2-2 draw, but there was plenty of action going on, not just on the scoreboard too. A lot of fun to watch.
hmm
So in recent weeks, I've been, talking highly of Richmond, saying that they're going to be a team that's going to be a deep threat. Later in the season, they're not going to be flashy or anything like that, but they're going to be, steadily consistent throughout the season and show off their excellence. Well, I mean, looking at the first half of that match against Greenville, I was eating crow. That's for sure.
Yeah. Not a great showing in that first half. It was pretty much all Greenville the entire
Yeah,
first half. Um, and I mean, you go you go down 2 goals in the first half. I mean, that's always a very dangerous thing for both squads because as everybody here knows, 2-0 is the most dangerous lead in soccer,
yep,
and it showed in this match. And spoiler alert, it showed in the match earlier tonight, also involving Richmond. So they've been on
yeah,
both ends of the spectrum in less than a week. So,
that's very
um,
true.
I mean, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. I think would be the thing that I would use there. But
Yep,
man, it's nobody will ever say it's not entertaining to watch League One. I'll tell you that.
yeah, yeah. I think if more people watched League One, they would come to realize how truly fun it is to watch.
Hmm.
Because I think there are some people that would be naturally turned off to the fact that they're going to be watching Division 3 soccer, but they don't realize they don't realize how good it actually is when you're watching it and how entertaining it is.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely.
But when we jump into that match, uh, so I can't remember who
Mm.
I think I picked a draw for this one heading into it. I had to check my vote on Twitter, but
Yeah.
looks like majority of fans thought that Greenville Triumph was going to win, and that first half they were right.
Mhm. Yeah, my prediction of 2-1 Richmond was blown out of the water fairly fairly early. So, um before even the 30th minute it was already 2-0. So,
Yeah,
I mean, I was uh I was not happy watching that first half and thinking about how confident I was and how wrong I was.
yep. Lucas Coutinho got it started off in the third minute with a free kick straight to the bottom right corner. I mean, that was a beautiful free kick.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, really no surprise that it came from Coutinho. I mean, the dude has shown he has the ability to do that, and it's something you definitely have to watch out for. And
Yeah,
I mean, in the third minute too, just right early, and that's exactly what you have to do when you play against Richmond is you have to hit them early and force them out of their high press and high energy um, way of playing. And it seemed like it did work for at least the first half of this match.
oh, I just checked the YouTube. We got some comments over there. Oh, Zach and Tim are watching. Hey guys, how's it going?
My bad, guys. I
Zach
did not
says,
have
"Boo
that
all
pulled up.
Florida teams,"
Not cool. Not cool.
and Tim coming in corner kick for Rich. Yes, corner kick with the Modelo. Yeah, and I agree with you, Tim. Broadcast quality doesn't help. Have to see it live to appreciate. Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. If you're in the stadium watching it live, yeah, it's a totally different beast.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, you just got to get out there and watch it live. That's for sure. But back to that Lucas Coutinho free kick. So Fitzgerald was on that post too, and so when Coutinho took that kick, I thought for sure that Akira was going to have it. But then I don't know exactly what happened. Like if he just read the English on the ball wrong, if he set the wall wrong, if he thought that the ball was going to bend, farther inside, so he decided to, sneak a quick step to the near post instead. But whatever the
Hmm.
case was, he read it wrong, and that ball went right in next to him.
Hmm. I mean, it's tough when you have an excellent free kick taker. Um, they're they've gotten really good at disguising their kicks and exactly what they want the ball to do. And I feel like that's kind of how most strikers are now too. I think these goalkeepers got to keep work a lot harder to keep these shots out because you can disguise these kicks a lot easier because half the time when you're sitting watching them, you'll think the ball is going to go one way and somehow they put some crazy English on it from some weird angle that they hold their foot or a place that they hit the ball. It's almost like playing pool. You have to hit it in a certain spot to get enough English on it. And these guys have just gotten so good at it. Even in the third division, like it's insane the amount of stuff that these guys can do.
Yeah, and it certainly doesn't help that each year when these leagues throw out their next design for a soccer ball, it has this minimalistic feel to it where it's just like thin black lines on it or something like that. So
Hmm.
it makes it even tougher for the keepers to read the English on the ball as it's coming at them. I
Definitely.
remember in the late '90s, early thousands, balls like had all kinds of paint all over them.
Hmm.
But
Crazy
nowadays,
colors, crazy designs, stars,
exactly,
everything.
yeah.
Hmm.
But nowadays, it's just very like thin black lines, triangles, maybe here and there. But yeah, it's for the most part, it's a lot tougher for the keepers. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's gone very minimalistic for sure.
Yeah. So then, not long after that third-minute goal, we had a 27th minute goal from Brandon Fricky, assisted by Tyler Pollock, following a corner kick.
Yeah. I mean, what more can you really say? Brandon Fricky, another one of those people that if the name sounds familiar, it's because he's been around and because he scores, you know.
Yep.
Um, and Tyler Pollock, obviously, another one of those big names. Um, yeah, just something with the free kicks and set pieces for Richmond just have not been working. Um, I don't know if that's something that needs a little bit more work or if people are just disguising it so much better or what exactly is going on. But this is not the first, nor will it. I think it'll be the last time that Richmond has had issues with these kind of goals.
Yeah, and I think you brought up something on Twitter earlier this week, but it's more in reference to Holiday over at North Carolina. But I kind of wanted to do some research into goalkeeper tendencies and what kind of goals they're giving up and from what distance and all that kind of stuff. It was going to be an exhausting type of research to look up for just like a 10-second discussion. But at the same time, I mean, it would have been really cool to take a look at and see what kind
Mhm.
of goals these keepers are giving up.
Yeah, definitely would be.
Um, so yeah, going into halftime, Greenville was up 2-0 and they were looking dominant. Richmond did have, one chance there right before halftime that looked pretty promising, but they couldn't finish it. But then getting into the second half, Richmond, you know, Darren Swansky made the right adjustments, and Richmond came out guns a blazing. Or
Yeah.
either that, and combine that with Hark saying, "All right, we got a 2-0 lead. Let's sit back a little bit. Let's start absorbing the pressure." So I guess a
Yep.
combination of those factors probably played into Richmond's hand.
Yeah. Fell into that 2-0 trap. Um,
Hmm.
and Richmond got the second half scoring started in the 59th minute. Nathan Ani, assisted by Carlton Belmar. Um, just a shot to the center of the box to the top right corner. Um, I mean, this is one of those matches. These two teams are in the limelight quite a bit. So again, another one of these names, Nathan Ani. You know him. You've heard him before. You're not. You're gonna hear him quite a bit.
Yep.
Um, and just crazy too that Richmond ended up getting this one back so early. I was kind of shocked to see that. Um, Usually, Greenville doesn't give up goals until it's very late, especially with a 2-0 lead, especially with what they usually tend to do, which is park the bus. But um, I think something that really helped Richmond kind of come back this quickly was just the high press that they were putting on Greenville the entire match. And I mean, it worked. It's exactly like what you had said, Rich. One of your keys to the match was to work hard up high and to make Greenville make a mistake. And and that Richmond did exactly that. You could tell in that second half that Greenville was getting a little, um, either a little agitated or a little bit flustered with the amount of pressure that they had been receiving all match long.
Yeah, one other thing that I noticed was that Greenville was really condensed, but they were condensed in their defensive third. So they were setting the back line right at the 18 or just inside of it, which gave Richmond all kinds of room to operate around the box. And Richmond took full advantage of it. I mean, they would most of the time they would go look to their right flank to try to work some pressure over there and cross it in. But if that wasn't working, they were more than happy to switch the ball over to the left side to see if something was going to work over there too. Um, Another cool thing that I noticed from Richmond was the way that they worked the middle of the field. So when someone on the flank had the ball and the center mid was right there, what was his name? Zach Moran. Yeah, Zach Moran.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when he was right there, waiting for a ball to come through that channel, if it suddenly if that window suddenly closed, he would run into space somewhere else, and another midfielder would come into that space, or even Terzaghi would come back and fill that space as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had that constant rotation of somebody leaving their window to go find space, somebody else filling that window once the defender peels off and follows him. So they were not only were they keeping Greenville backed up in their own third, but they were utilizing their personnel to try to access more space and open up the passing lanes. And yeah, it was working just fine for him in the third.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which was something that I think you really have to do. I mean, if Greenville's going to stay compressed like they are, you do have to. It's almost like a rotation in like basketball or anything like that. You rotate to the open spot, and especially in the middle of the field, you can do so much with the middle of the field that if you always have a guy there, I mean, obviously good things can happen, and that's um, exactly one of the reasons why Richmond scored this goal in the 59th minute.
Yeah.
So not quite a bit after that, it was looking a little bit more like Greenville was going to be able to um, get out of there, get out of there with a 2-1 win. But in the 83rd minute, Luke Pavone, um, again another one of those things where a ball stays around in the goal area or the penalty area. Bad things happen the longer the ball stays in there. And in this case, that's exactly what happened. Luke ball gets loose in there, and Luke Pavone scores and
Yeah.
ties the match up.
Yeah. If the ball is going into the penalty area, even if, and more so if it's going into the goal area, crash the goal, because if that ball gets loose, just throw your body at it and force it in the direction of the goal. And that's exactly what happened here.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I mean, that's pretty much everything that needs to be said here. I mean, you crash the goal and finish the opportunities that are present, and they did.
Yeah, and I mean, as a defender, if the ball takes one weird bounce, just get it out. Live to fight another day. Like
Yeah.
you can't let the ball sit and rattle around because that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yep. One of the lessons I learned as a defender, um, I think this was probably late stages of high school or something like that. I think it was, yeah, I think it was high school actually. There was a ball that was, we were playing Creighton Prep, and there was a ball that was loose in the box. It was in the penalty area, and I went to clear it, but I didn't. So I was stupid and didn't clear it toward the sideline. I tried to go clear it straight up the middle. Well, I kicked it right into a Creighton player's leg, bounced off his shin, and went straight into the net. So
Yep, that'll happen.
yeah, that's the kind of stupid shit that happens in the goal box. If there's a loose ball, just clear it, aim for the sidelines, just get it away from the goal.
Just get it out of there. Yep.
Yeah. And Wasn't there, so right before halftime, wasn't there a, wasn't it a penalty call? Or, not a penalty call, but it was like a possible penalty decision. I want to say that there was like a possible penalty decision that the ref decided not to award. Um, but I can't remember. I want to say like, I can't remember who it was. I don't want to speak um, incorrectly on that one, but
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head.
yeah. But we did have, with both of these teams, there's so many names you could throw out for a quality performance that night. I mean, there were plenty of
Mhm.
them on both ends of the field. So narrowing it down to three players, I'm glad I'm not the one that has to do this.
Yeah. So looking at it, for my first star, it's gonna go to Lucas Coutinho. 89 minutes played. Um, only had one shot, and it was the goal. So, um, I mean, only had 50% of his successful dribbles, and didn't. Everything else really was not stellar, stat wise, but just him on the field and scoring the goal and playing that midfield role, that center midfielder role, um, really worked out for Greenville. So he's going to get the nod for that one. Um, my two-star player is going to flip it to the other side, and Nathan Ani for Richmond played all 90 minutes, two shots with one goal, 81% of his passes, um, 93 touches, 13 in the final third, and 58% on his accurate long balls. Um, just won 83% of his aerial duels and 75% of his ground duels. So, um, Ani is coming in as a center back and doing that kind of work. It was a big reason why Richmond ended up tying this match. And my third one, I know Ricky got the goal, but I have to go with Michael Hornsby for Richmond. 72% accurate passes, 100 or 3 for 3 on successful dribbles. It's 100% is what I was going to say. And won all of his tackles, with 8 recoveries and 3 interceptions. So, Hornsby just being a force on that left side, and um, really just the defenders for Richmond coming in, especially after giving up those 2 goals in that second half, really stepped it up. Um, but I feel like those two guys were some of the biggest reasons why, they were successful and ended up getting this draw, making something out of nothing.
Good choices. I thought for sure you were going to go with Fricky. So, but Hornsby, yeah, that's a good pick too.
It was a tough decision, I will say. One that I kind of made on the fly, but it still was a tough decision.
Yeah. Well, as far as week 10 for both of these clubs, um, Richmond actually played tonight. They played North Carolina. And as you heard us speaking earlier, ended up losing
Mm-hmm.
by a man. It was a close one too. It was 3-2 for North Carolina, but
Excuse
Richmond
me.
seemed to be controlling it for quite a bit.
Yeah, Richmond had the majority of the of the what's the word I'm looking for. Um,
Momentum.
anyway, there you go. Thank you. Yes, momentum, and all it took was 15 minutes, and North
Yeah,
Carolina scored 3 goals within 15 minutes to win that
yeah,
match. So it's tough.
yeah. So, but Richmond does play again. They play Lexington on Saturday. That'll be a home match. So City Stadium will be filled for that one. That'll be a good one. And then Greenville will be hosting One Knox on Saturday at the same time as Richmond Lexington. Those will both kick off at 6 p.m. Central Time. So even though Richmond did drop this one against North Carolina, they still have another opportunity to get 3 points and climb in the standings.
Mhm.
Um, I'd have to take a look at the math that I did for the graphic that we posted earlier this week, but I don't know how high they'd be able to climb now, given that they lost this match. But not a big deal at this point. Um, but week 10 is definitely going to be exciting for them. Greenville hosting One Knox coming off of their big showing. Against Northern Colorado. I mean, even though they lost 2-1, they still had a strong showing that night.
Mhm.
So that'll be a tough one for Greenville.
Definitely. Um, and Tim with Ranting Blue Penguin Media saying Terzaghi is still on 1 goal with 11 shots, 4 on target, 1 goal. This is not the Terzaghi of the last 3 years, and that's even
No, it's not.
after tonight's match.
Yeah.
Because he didn't even did he? I don't remember. Did he even end up playing tonight? I don't think he even dressed. Did he?
I don't think he dressed. Yeah, I think you're right. I think he was on the sideline. Or I don't even think he was on the sideline. Yeah, I don't think he dressed, so I don't think he was even on the bench.
Man, that's shocking. But I mean, also probably not that shocking because he is on the upper upper part of the scale as far as age for a professional soccer player.
Yeah, I would also say it's a bit of load management as well, because if you know that you're playing a midweek match against Richmond, I mean, we're not even halfway through the season. Do you really want to throw your A squad at North Carolina right out there and at the gate, especially with how hot they are? I'd almost rather rest them and let them feel refreshed so that when they play Lexington this weekend, they have a better chance of getting those 3 points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's a good point. Uh, we'll have to kind of see how it goes. This is quite a lot of matches in a short time, and like you said, Rich, we're just a quarter of the way through the season at this point. So
Yeah. I mean, we had 4 matches in week 9, but we have 8 in week 10. So, I mean, oh man, next week we're going to be busy.
very busy. Yeah, that shows going to be a good one,
Yeah.
if not good, long.
Yes. All right. So, after Greenville and Richmond finished, we had Lexington hosting Charlotte.
Mm.
And Lexington took the victory with a 1-0 scoreline. Um, I think I picked. So, when I initially looked at the poll that we put on Twitter, I think I initially put Charlotte winning. But then the more I looked into this match, the more I saw and felt like Lexington might actually have a chance in this one.
Hmm.
And at the time of kickoff, I'll be honest, I still didn't feel like Lexington was going to win, but this was one where I was really excited because the stuff the stats that I was reading, the footage that I was watching, it all seemed to make it seem as if there was the possibility for some heavy drama, and that's exactly what we got.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I said that they had the opportunity to do it. I mean, they had the squad. They just needed to come out and put an entire match together. Um, I also said I did not think Lexington was going to be able to do it, and I was wrong. And this was a great team win for Lexington, which kind of showed that even though they're low on the table, I mean anybody can beat anybody on any given night, and especially when it's a team like Lexington who has all the parts to be able to do it. They just need to be able to put it all together week in and week out. So they're definitely going to be ones to watch um, as this season moves on.
Yeah, and speaking of uh, Lexington having to put together a complete, performance. You look at Lexington's goalkeeper Amal Knight. I mean, he had to have a hell of a performance in order to keep up with Charlotte. And
Hmm.
I mean, case in point, that last second penalty save to seal the victory. Man, how amazing would that feel to be the keeper in that moment, to save it, to solidify the victory, all on the home field. I mean, that would just be so freaking awesome against the number one or number two club in the league.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean it. Watching that too, just I mean, stood on his head, and I just still don't understand. Maybe somebody who saw it a little bit better would be able to tell me, but why exactly did Kalen Fox even get a red card in that situation?
Yeah,
From
that was another thing. I was reading over everything just to try to refresh my memory and all that kind of stuff, and I don't even remember him getting the red card.
yeah, from me, granted, I've only looked at it I think twice now, but to me, it did not look like something that would warrant a foul, let alone a red card. I mean, I think I said that backwards, but either way, I don't think it should have been a red, but I mean,
And it was a straight red too. It wasn't a
straight
soft
red.
one.
Yeah, no, we pulled it out right away.
Man, yeah, I'll have to take a look at that to see what happened there because that's crazy. But jumping into this, so I wasn't the only one who was thinking that this was going to be a Charlotte win because fans seemed to believe that Charlotte was going to win too, but it was by a close margin. The people voting for Lexington were not far behind the people who thought that Charlotte was going to win. Not many people thought this was going to be a draw. So that's an interesting dynamic to look at heading into the match. But heading into the match, I mean, Charlotte in their last five had only picked up 6 points. In their last three, they'd only picked up 4 points. Whereas Lexington, um, in their last five, they had collected 4 points. In their last three, they collected 3 points. So still pretty close together in recent performances. And man, it carried over to actual performances on the field too, because this one was a close one throughout.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's Lexington has the parts to do it. I mean,
Yeah,
and we've said it all year. I mean, I know in our other shows we've said like this team has those flashes where they look super good and where they don't look so good, and if they could put it all together, they could be a contender. And they put it all together in this match, and look what happened. So,
yeah,
um, yeah, just great. And I mean, if you kind of look at it, I mean, if you look at the XG for this match, it's insane. I mean, Lexington sitting at 1.49 and Charlotte sitting at 2.21. It's and then their offensive G's are both over 1.5. Granted, Lexington's defense not so much. I mean, they faced quite a bit. So I mean, I don't 16 total shots for Charlotte. So I mean, there was quite a bit of stuff going on for that keeper Austin Knight. So
yeah. The stat that jumps out to me is the amount of long passes that were happening that night. I mean, they were speaking of Charlotte, they were the ones that were trying to stretch Lexington as much as possible. They had 87 long passes to 47 from Lexington. Um, I mean, this is a Charlotte team that had a tactic when they went up to the when they were lining up for the opening whistle, but then things started happening and they had to adjust. But they kept trying those long passes, and it was providing a lot of pressure for Lexington to deal with. But Lexington was bending, but they weren't breaking.
and I mean, sometimes that's just exactly what you have to do, and especially against a team that's this Charlotte team up at the top, near the top, at the top of the table. I mean, sometimes just weathering the storm will do it for you, and obviously that happened here.
Yeah.
Um, and with those accurate long balls in general, I mean, Charlotte was putting them out at a pretty decent clip. 68% of them were accurate
Yeah.
to Lexington's 49%. But there's just, I mean, really high passes, but just could not find their way in.
Yep. So the goal of the match, man, fans had to wait a long time for this one to happen too. It was in the 78th minute when Balogun had an unassisted goal from the center of the box,
Hmm. Yeah,
and he was just in the middle of pressure, and he just took it straight to the right corner.
one you would have thought Austin Pack would have been able to um, stop, or the Charlotte's defense would have been able to stop. But Charlotte's defense was really not having a great time trying to deal with this Lexington offense, which is something that I warned about when we talked about it last week.
Yep.
You know, defense is a little bit suspect, and that's kind of what happened. They just weren't able to get the offense rolling.
And Tim jumping in here to help us out with the Kalen Fox red. He said, "Yep, Fox red was because it looked like he pulled him down after cutting across him. Soft penalty, but it was a denial of a goal scoring opportunity since he was last back in the box." So yeah, I'll have to go back and watch the footage, but I that seems to ring a bell when you
Sure.
describe it that way.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I've been on the receiving end of those reds, and you look at the ref and like, yeah, I know, do what you got to do.
I'm already aware. Thank you.
Yeah.
So you ain't got to say anything. I already know.
Yep. I have a really embarrassing yellow card story, but I'll say that for another day
Right.
when we have story time. So with the performances from that evening, I am pretty interested to hear who your choices are going to be for the 3 stars, because I feel like there are going to be some sneaky good choices in here.
Yeah. So I mean, for the first one, I think it really shouldn't be that surprising. Amal Knight gets the nod, not only for that penalty save, but I mean, he had 5 saves inside the box. I mean, this dude was under pressure all night and came through when it really counted late in the match with a penalty to save all 3 points for Lexington. So I mean, that's the obvious choice. My next one, oh, this is actually one of the tougher ones.
Yeah, I figured you were going to go with Knight for the first choice, but
Yeah.
it's these next two that I'm interested in.
Hmm. Let's go with Tariq Muhammad for Lexington. Played all 90 minutes, had 81% accurate passes with two chances created, um, 9 passes into the final third. So he was really facilitating, especially from his, is that left back that he plays? Left back spot,
Yeah.
yeah. And just really getting in there and trying to get that attack moving. And that's something that you definitely have to do against Charlotte's defense. And finally, for my third one, I think you got to go with Balogun, right? Scored the goal that beat the top team in the league. I mean, you got to give all three of them to Lexington in this one. They put up a full a full game, and it really showed. But Balogun, he only played 17 minutes
Yeah.
as well. So a goal in 17 minutes is pretty good. 100% shot accuracy. 67% on his accurate passes, so not great there. Also won two of his four ground duels and one of his aerial duels. But again, in such a short period of time and being the one to score the the only goal in this match is going to get you on the list as well.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to give him more playing time because I have to take a look here to see what his general stats were. But I feel like he's not a player that should be coming off the bench. He should be a player that should be out there from the beginning. Let me take a look here really quick.
Mm-hmm.
General games
I
played.
I feel like when you watch Lexington play, when good things happen, his name comes up. I don't think
Yeah,
it's because it's something we've talked about him before. It's not like we've never heard of this guy and he came in and did this.
yeah. See, I agree, and that's why I was saying that. So he's played in every single match this season, but he's only had 3 starts.
Huh,
So that's kind of surprising.
it is very surprising.
But I mean, he's making the most of his minutes. That's for sure.
Yeah, a goal in 17 minutes will do that.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Hmm.
All right. So after excuse me, the number 2 seed went down. Now we shift our focus over to the number 1 seed. When excuse me, I got the burps. Forward Madison traveled over to Cary, North Carolina to take on North Carolina FC. This one, a lot of fans thought North Carolina was going to win, and I was one of them. I picked North Carolina to win.
Yeah, I did as well.
Um, but man, Forward Madison, this was one where Forward Madison just did not take their foot off the gas. They were relentless.
Hmm.
If you are uh, a Flamingo fan, like this was one that you watched with a ton of joy because they got a goal in the first half. They were dominant throughout the entire match. They got their insurance policy in the second half, rode that to victory. It was a good solid night for Forward Madison.
Yeah, and I mean that's really all you can ask for. Excuse me, all you can ask for really as a Madison fan. Excuse me. They put together a full performance, and it was one that uh one that you can really write down as maybe a season defining win for this program right now.
I would agree. Yeah.
So that got started in the 14th minute for Madison. Um, Isidro,
Yep.
Isidro,
Sigil. Yep.
there you go, Isidro Martinez, assisted by Jacob Kroll from outside the box to the top left corner. Um, I mean, it's one of those things, man. It's another one of these things with these top two teams that you just wonder, is the defense there? We know the firepower is there, but is the defense there?
Um, in Holiday's defense, man, this is goal of the week right here. If this goal from Isidro Martinez is not goal of the week, shut it down. We're done. Like, because that is a beautiful goal.
Hmm.
Straight rocket from outside the box, across the field, top left corner. I mean, it was just a gorgeous goal. Um, I think as soon as I saw that, I was sitting in my couch and I just stood up and like walked over to get a drink. Like, fuck, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
you can't deny that.
it's like one of those. I think you can use the Vince Carter from the dunk contest meme. It's just
Oh,
it's over. It's over.
yep, yep.
This week that it's got that one. Um, and I think I don't remember if it was the Talkin' Flock pod account or if it was our buddy Rob up there in Madison saying he wonders like how it seems like Nick Holiday is having trouble with some of these long balls. And I made the comment, well, yeah, I mean, look what happened last year in Omaha, where like
Yeah,
he let a keeper score on him. So
yeah. And that was the comment that inspired my desire to take a look into that research, but obviously I didn't have the time to. do some deep dives into that kind of stuff.
That's definitely a deep dive.
Yeah.
But yeah, so great goal, and I mean, at a certain point, you just got to let it fly, and that's what happened. Excuse me. Then we get to the second half in the 68th minute. Mitchell Osman then being assisted by Isidro Martinez, a header from the center of the box from a cross that wasn't the actual corner but came after the corner.
Yep.
So, and again, Mitchell Osman, another one of those players that you hear all the time, um, just doing work.
Yeah. Did you, when you watched the Premier League, did you see that the way that they were marking up on Erling Haaland over the weekend, where like the guy had his like arm around him and his head was like tucked into his armpit and he was just haranguing him constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mitchell Osman is one of those guys that as a defender, I'm doing that to him.
Yeah.
If he's in the box, I know that he's a guy that can take up a lot of space when he wants to. So I'm going to be the guy that's going to try to minimize that space as much as possible. And yep, he found his space and he punished him for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, much like Erling Haaland, he does not care if
Yeah,
you're doing that to him. He's still going to get up and score.
yeah,
So, I mean, what more can you say? I mean, Madison just put in all of the work on NCFC and
yeah.
maybe put themselves back in the conversation as a um, maybe a bye in the first round or even a home match in the first round
You're
of
saying
the
forward
playoffs.
Madison?
Yeah,
Ooh, okay, all right.
they put themselves back in that conversation. I don't necessarily
Yeah.
know if it's going to happen, um, but they are definitely a team to talk about.
Ooh, okay. I like that one. Um, if we're talking that level of club, uh, if you're throwing your hat at Madison, I'm going to throw my hat at Northern Colorado.
Northern Colorado. Both teams that are showing quite a bit early in this season. I
Yeah,
don't know that Northern Colorado quite has that a statement win kind of like this where they completely
yeah,
manhandled a team. Um, but it could be coming. I don't hate that pick at all.
yeah. And I don't hate the forward Madison one either. It's a spicy take, so I like it.
Yeah, we'll see how the season kind of plays out because as forward Madison has traditionally done, they've gotten hot and they've gotten very cold. So if they can keep the momentum up and play like how they did against NCFC, then yes, I see that happening. But you just don't know. There's not a whole lot of consistency in the past with this forward Madison team, but we'll have to find out.
Yeah. And at the final whistle, the XG for both teams, Madison had 1.36, North Carolina had 0.85. I feel like that 0.85 was high for North Carolina.
Hmm.
I feel like that should have been a little bit lower because it did not look like it was a 0.85 performance.
No, I think North Carolina really looked super dangerous, maybe around the 34th or 5th minute,
Yeah.
and that was really it for them. Excuse me, the entire match. I mean, it just was not their day, and
Yeah.
Madison pounced all over them.
Yep. I agree. And with that said, uh, I'm interested to hear your three candidates from this match because I feel like if you picked all three for Lexington last time, I feel like I know which side is going to get all three picks in this one too.
Yeah, I think I think you're right on the money with that. But first, we're gonna go with Isidro Martinez. Played all 90 minutes, 1 goal, 1 assist, 79% accurate passes. Huge number, especially um, with the with the formation that Madison ended up going with, which was like a 3-5-2, your central midfielder is going to be very important in that role. So making sure you get those passes are obviously paramount. Um, where was I at? Okay, there it is. What also won 75% of his duels, drew 2 fouls, and recovered back 7 times. So did it on both ends, really. I mean, passing was a little bit suspect at times, but overall, I mean, when you strike a ball like that too, you deserve that first spot. Um, Moving on to the number 2, I think this is another one that's going to be fairly obvious. Mitchell Osmond played all 90 minutes, had the goal, was 90% on his passes, 53 out of 59. 4 passes into the final third as the central defender, which is crazy. 7 recoveries and 2 blocks, which is also going to be very helpful because I mean we all know what NCFC can do with the firepower that they have. So getting your body in front of a couple shots is also really good. And as far as my third one, it's going to be a little bit. Um, it's going to be a little bit maybe controversial, but I'm going with Jacob Kroll.
Okay.
So playing usually a center back, playing out on the left side, played all 90 minutes, 79% passing, 7 passes into the final third. 50% of his long balls were accurate, won both of his tackles, won 75% of his ground duels, and there was only 3 aerial duels he was involved in, but he won 1 out of those. So, and also 9 recoveries. So the defense was doing a ton of work in this one. And Jacob Kroll, I think Omaha fans know, and Tucson fans know, and now Madison fans know how important Jacob Kroll can actually be in
Yeah.
in that last line of defense.
So random tangent here, because you mentioned Tucson. We're going to be talking about this in just a few minutes as we talk about league-wide news. But we have that women's league that's starting up, and Tucson threw their hat in the ring. Excuse me, got the burps again. To be one of the women's clubs that's going to be in that league, which is an interesting decision because you have FC Tucson, who was Division 3 soccer, self-relegated themselves to Division 4 to semi-pro, so that because they lost some of their funding and all that kind of stuff. Then they somehow find the money to uh, make their women's team eligible for this possible Division 1 status once we hear back from U.S. Soccer on that point. Um, how many years do you give it before FC Tucson is back in the league?
Back in League One
Yeah.
next year,
Really?
next year or the year after.
Ooh,
I
I
think
like it.
if they've got an ownership group in there that's going to be able to um, support a potential first division women's side, um, I feel like bringing the men's side up from the semi-professional League 2 up to League One, which that's a big step, obviously, but it's
Yeah.
another fully professional team. I don't think it's that out of the realm of possibility,
Okay,
especially if
so
you use the same stadium, you use the same facilities. I mean, it should be a no brainer.
let me throw this at you. With the women's team going to Division 1, once again, if we hear back from U.S. Soccer, Division 1,
We'll just assume and hope that that's what it is.
yeah. Do you think that FC Tucson's new ownership may push them to championship instead? Phoenix is right down the road.
It's true.
There's a lot more West Coast clubs. They would have far less expenses to travel
Hmm.
to.
I mean, that's fair. I would have to look into it more to see if you self relegate and then you try to come back, if you still have to pay the franchise fee to come back into the league or not.
I would assume so.
Because that's another big investment. I mean, if they come even coming into League One is what, a $5 million investment or
Yeah,
something like that, and then
yeah,
Championship is like $14 million.
yeah,
So coming in, bringing in the Division One women's side, which we know is expensive. I don't know if we have the actual figures on the franchise fee of that or not. Um, so we know that's going to be expensive. They may say, okay, well, the men's team, let's either keep them in League Two for another year and see how this whole thing goes, or we just bump them back up to League One, which is a significantly lower price tag. I mean, it's a third of the price of a championship squad.
yeah. If they keep the men's team in League Two, even League One for that matter, I think this would be the first case where the team would take priority over funding and support from the ownership over the men's team. I'm trying to think of another club where that might take place, but I'm not. Well, I mean, you could throw North Carolina Courage
Mm-hmm.
in there.
Well, I mean, with the Super League, you potentially have like Madison as well. I don't know if
Madison,
it's the
yeah,
same ownership group or not. Um, but yeah, potentially Madison has that um, same thing going on. So, I mean, I mean, obviously owners are going to go where the money is. So,
yeah,
it seems like from everything we've seen that the Super League is going to be a uh, really well run league. So if that's where the ownership group wants to go and that's where they feel like they can make the most money, because it's, at the end of the day, that's what all ownership groups get into the sport for.
yeah,
Um, then yeah, I mean, I'm all for it, and it'll just be how it is.
yeah.
That would be a really cool dynamic, though. Like you said, that for the men's team to take a backseat because they are two divisions back potentially of the women's side.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know of any other plans for a women's team in that area either. So for FC Tucson to try to capture that market, good for them, man. That's awesome.
Hmm.
Especially if you're going to be Division One status and you can bring in the likes of, you know, I don't know, an Alex Morgan or I don't know, I mean, any of those women. I'm escaping all the names, but which sucks because I watch women's, soccer all the time. But um, bringing in any of those, women's national team players, not only American, but Australia, France, Spain, England. I
Hmm.
mean, any of those players would be just so much fun to watch. So to capture that market would be cool.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so we got on a tangent there, but
It's all
to
good.
bring it back to the last match of the week was One Knox hosting Northern Colorado.
Hmm.
Uh, this one I think I had as a draw. But fans were right. They were picking Northern Colorado to win this one. Did I really have them as a draw? That's going to bother me. But this one, all the action was in the second half.
Hmm.
Northern Colorado had like a boom boom type of situation with their goals, and not long after their goal, One Knox were able to get one back, but they weren't able to find the equalizer. Um, So 53rd and 58th minute, you had Northern Colorado, Trevor Amon getting a goal assisted by Arthur Rogers. And then the 58th, you had Billy King assisted by Trevor Amon. Man, another case of the goal scorer becoming the assister.
Yeah.
Pretty cool to see.
Hmm. Yeah, and then in the 67th minute, One Knox pulling one back. Jake Keegan converting the penalty. What was the stat that I saw today? Um, because there was another penalty today that Jake
Oh,
Keegan
yeah.
scored,
Yeah.
and I what did they say? It's like the fifth one this season,
Yep.
or
Fifth one this season.
fifth one this season for one knocks, or was it? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, fifth one for this season. Yeah, for one
Yeah,
knocks.
fifth one for
I
this
had.
season, which is more than I think it was Ford Madison has had in like their entire existence.
Yep, I saw that stat too. That was a good one.
Like I don't know what's going on, but
Yeah.
that should not be happening. I don't know if all of them are completely justified or not, but I mean, just because they're escaping my head right now, every single one of them. But I couldn't believe there was five, and I couldn't believe that Madison hasn't had five penalties all season or all
Or their
their
existence.
entire
Yeah.
existence. Yeah, 4 years now with
Yeah.
no penalties, or not even five penalties.
And
So,
just to save my ass, I did have a Northern Colorado win, so
oh, there you go.
I had that one.
Yeah, I mean, it crazy to think, but I mean, I might be onto something with Northern Colorado. This might not have been like a super statement win for them, but they're becoming more and more consistent, which is
Yeah.
something that you have to have in this league to come in and week out and continue playing at a high level, which Northern Colorado has done so far.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about Northern Colorado. They're just a team that when I watch them play, it just seems like they're not far off. You
Hmm.
can see it. You can see it on the field. It seems like they're clicking. It's like the gears are so close to finally like setting in, and for them to really take off. You're just waiting for that moment to happen, but it doesn't sound like they're very far off from that happening at all.
Hmm. I agree.
And yeah, I feel like this is going to be another case. Well, I mean, yeah, okay, there's a possibility here, but for your three choices for the standouts,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I'll let you take it away because I was going to make my predictions, but I'll let you. I don't want to steal your thunder.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, the one star is going to be Trevor Amon. Played 85 minutes, had a goal and an assist. 69%, nice, of accurate passes. Um, three passes into the final third, two clearances, and won 83% of his ground duels and 67% of his aerial duels, and also was able to pull five fouls in this match. So getting it done um, in the complete offensive way, and I'm sure a lot of those drawn fouls were helpful late down the stretch for that team. My second is Billy King, 90 minutes played, one goal, 68% accurate passing, just one away from the good number. Um, and this is something. This is more of a three recoveries here too, and was able to draw one foul. This is a little bit controversial, only because I have him as my sleeper pick for player of the season, and it just hasn't come together yet. So I'm hoping this is the little kickstart right now that'll put him into that conversation. Um, and then the third player for me, I'm gonna go with Arthur Rogers. So it's all three
Yeah,
are gonna come from Northern Colorado. Arthur Rogers with 90 minutes played, one assist, 67% passing, um, 57% accurate crosses, which is a number we don't see a whole lot of in these upper 50s for these accurate crosses. The ones I've been seeing, especially today, looking these over, have been in the 40s and 30s. So, um, I mean, that's a big thing in this league is getting these crosses in, and especially at an accurate clip. 54% accurate long balls, which is a little bit misleading because he sent 13 long balls up the pitch. So a lot of the times when you're talking about accurate long balls at 100%, it's like three or four. But when you're throwing 13 and you threw seven accurately, that's pretty good as well. And also
yeah,
won 100% of his aerial duels and 57% of his ground duels. So, I mean, it's another one of those cases where it seems to be a thing this week of these teams that are getting the W's having just players on their side that have just outperformed the other side completely and fully. So,
Yep.
um, yeah, and this was just another one of those cases. I mean, there's other people I could have chosen. Like for one Knox, I could have chose Jake Keegan, obviously for converting the penalty. Um, Derek Waldeck as well. And I mean, Keegan's stats when you look at him are also pretty impressive. Just the way that Knoxville ended up playing this match did not look that great or deserving of a player on the list.
Hmm. And another, performance. I talk about him every single time we talk about Northern Colorado, but Enoch Kwakwa. I mean, this guy, when you watch him on tape, I mean, he stands out.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I like watching him play, and I'm excited to see him play in person again. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, definitely.
And when you look at Northern Colorado stats, in their last five, they have captured 8 points of the 15 that were possible. In their last three, they've captured 4 points of the nine that were available. So they're right around that 50 percentile,
Mm-hmm.
capturing 50% of the points available. So if there are 32 matches in a season, that's 96 points. So they're sitting right around that 48 point area, on average at the end of the season, which could very easily be just above the playoff line. So,
Yeah, I mean, if you go by John Morrissey's, well, I'll say latest, but it was a couple weeks back, or maybe 1 week back. I don't know. It's running together really at this point. But if you look at his points potential and playoff percentages, yeah, if you get 49 points, that's putting you right in the mix for third or fourth place.
yeah,
So they potentially have a third or fourth place finish ahead of them if they keep up the pace that they're on.
yeah,
So, I mean, that also just goes back to this league is going to be so tight and contested this season again
yep,
that um, it's going to be interesting. That's for sure, and
yep.
they can definitely make it interesting if they keep playing the way they're playing.
And oh, I thought that was this week. No, I don't see it. Dang it. Is that next week? Um, is there first home match next week?
Um, ooh,
Because I see they play Madison tomorrow on the road,
I'll be able to tell you here in a second.
but I thought that their first home match was coming up here very soon.
Future Legends Complex. 1 week. And Northern Colorado's first home match is on May 27th.
27th, so 10 days. Yeah, so it'll be next Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Future Legends Park just posted some pictures of their soccer stadium.
They did.
Kind of funny. Looks like it's in a prison rec yard because it's got the high fence surrounding the soccer field. So
Yeah.
so much for an unobstructed view of the action.
Yeah. I'm hoping there's some more seating along the sides there that's
Yeah,
unobstructed views
yeah,
because I still remember I'll tell this little tangent story really quick. There was so for Nebraska football, there are tickets that are significantly cheaper than other tickets, and that's because they're quote unquote obstructed view seats. I didn't know what that really meant. So they have the high school football championships at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln. And so me and my buddies one time went and found the obstructed view seats. It's literally a giant concrete pole that blocks the entire center of the field. So you can see about 30 yards to the right and about 30 yards to the left. And everything in the middle, nothing. Can't see a thing. And you have to sit and straddle the pole the entire time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're nowhere near that level of obstructed view. So that's already a point for future Legends complex on that one.
Yeah. So a few years ago, I think it was either 2018 or 2019, my dad and I were looking for tickets to the Nebraska Indiana game.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking around and I found these cheap tickets and I thought this is awesome. I looked at the seats and they're in West Stadium, so I thought, hell yes, like cheap tickets over in West Stadium. This is going to be amazing. We go in there, we go to our seats, and my seat is exactly what you were just talking about. There is a pillar
Mm-hmm.
right in front of me.
Yep.
And just like you said, 30 yards to the left, 30 yards to the right, you can't see anything in the middle.
Yep.
Yeah, I was that sucker who bought that ticket.
Yep. That unfortunately they'll get you that way. There's a few different ones like that in Memorial Stadium. I think there's like 4 or 5 on that side. But if you also go to the opposite side, if you sit under the awning too far, you can't see like the top third of the field.
Yeah, yeah,
So there's quite a few different obstructed view seats. But
yeah. Some you
again,
have to watch on those tiny TV screens they have in there.
you do, and they still haven't updated them. I swear to God, they haven't updated them since 1997. Like it's like the first. You guys have ever seen like the first like portable TVs? I mean, any of you that are too young to know what like a first portable TV was, look it up. They're huge, and their screens are about as big as the first iPhone screen. But anyways, Future Legends is not that bad, so
Yeah,
they have that going for them.
yeah. So we were joking. We were actually talking about this before we started the broadcast tonight, and on the spot, it came to me, and I thought they should call that's the soccer stadium the Thunderdome, surrounded by a fence. Um, the hailstorm, so you got the thunder aspect. So I thought it would be a perfect name for it, but I don't know if it's going to catch on. But I thought that was a good
I think it'll catch on. Now that you've made it public, it'll catch on.
one. I'm speaking it into existence.
Yeah, we got some guys on the inside that might be able to make that happen.
All right. So as far as league news, yeah, we kind of covered it with the women's league, but um, earlier this week it was announced that USL is going to be starting a Division One women's league, and they're still filing the status with U.S. Soccer to be approved as a Division One league, but the goal is to become a Division One women's soccer league to compete with the NWSL. And along with that announcement came all of the clubs who wanted to become a uh, an entity within that umbrella from the get-go. And so they had the map posted on social media and had all the clubs checkering all across the country. And it was west coast to east coast, it was north to south. I mean, there were clubs all over the place. I mean, it was just really, really cool to see how many clubs within the USL umbrella really wanted to embrace the Division One status and to just go all in
Mhm.
on that.
Yeah, and it's super important to grow the women's game as well.
Yeah,
I know that sometimes gets kind of lost in the shuffle and just kind of put in the bigger scope of let's grow the sport in general. But I mean, it's one of those things that um, I know the NWSL has done it, but a little bit of competition only breeds the best in whatever sport you're talking about. So hopefully they do get that Division One status and they can push each other to make the product on the field better because ultimately that's what you need to make money, which is what it's all about. And to grow the game is to bring in fan support. And the only way you're going to do that is through competition and better players coming in and being across these divisions.
yeah. Imagine being one of those clubs under that umbrella from year one. I mean, you shouldn't have to travel to to LA, to New York, to Chicago, to these big cities to be able to see Division 1 women's soccer. If you can attract that kind of talent to Ford Madison, to Indianapolis, to Tucson, I mean, to Knoxville,
Hmm.
Lexington. I mean, there are so many clubs across the country that USL has. They've captured those markets, and if they can start a Division 1 women's league in those markets,
Hmm.
it's going to be so amazing to for soccer fans in general to be able to have that kind of competition within that short of a drive. I mean, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, definitely. And Tim coming in again saying, "Give me a national championship between the top two tier teams. Invite them to a Challenge Cup." I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah,
Now we know the U.S. Soccer Federation is never going to do that, but it would be amazing to see.
yeah. And as soon as Omaha gets a women's team, whether they're going to be in that Division 1 status or if they're going to be in that Division 3 status, doesn't matter. I'm going to be a season ticket holder, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
definitely.
I'm looking at the action that Tyler's getting there in Lexington with the women's and the men's team, and I'm thinking, damn man, I'd love to be able to cover both teams like that.
Hmm.
He's doing a great job out there. If you're not following Tyler, follow him. Crane kicks Lex.
Yep.
Follow him.
Hmm. Definitely. What? Think remember anything else really? Is there anything else in the news that we haven't covered this week?
I don't. I think we hit on the big topics.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing anything too big else coming out.
Yeah.
Um, so we can move on to our week 10 preview. We have nobody sitting out this week, which is nice to see.
Yep.
Um, and maybe nice to see, maybe not nice to see. There are four teams that are going to play twice this week. Um, one Knox, Chattanooga, North Carolina, and Richmond. So, first match was yesterday, which was one Knox in Chattanooga with it was one Knox taking the victory there. Um, gosh, I don't. Let me pull it up really
It was what
quick.
2-1, wasn't it?
I believe so. 2-0, actually. Sorry.
2-0. Okay.
2-0. Callum Johnson in the second minute. That's right. That one started really, really quickly. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, it was after the lightning delay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
about an hour or so lightning delay. Or 2 hour. It was 2 hour lightning delay. So it was supposed to start at 6 and it started at like 8
Yeah.
yesterday. Um, and then Jake Keegan, that was the second one, the 40-minute penalty.
Yep.
Um,
Another penalty.
I mean, it's just how it goes. And
Yeah.
Chattanooga, unfortunately, is on the receiving end of yet another heart wrenching defeat. I mean, it's getting to the point where it's like fuego levels of despair down there in Chattanooga.
There were some fans that were sounding off on Twitter, and man, I am sorry for those fans to have to be dealing with that. They are not enjoying their season this
Hmm.
far.
No, and I mean, you go from playing in the final last season to second from the bottom. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, that's got to be tough on them.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we had the match tonight with North Carolina and Richmond, which we touched on a little bit earlier. Um, Another great match coming up tomorrow. That's Madison versus Northern Colorado at 7 o'clock Central Time.
Ooh, that one's gonna be good. Ooh, I'm excited for that one.
That is the battle of potentially playoff locks, according to Rich and I. So that'll be really interesting to see how that one shakes out. And that is
Yeah.
in Madison as well. So Northern
Yeah.
Colorado traveling up there to take on the Flamingos at Bree Stevens. So super excited about that one. I feel like with my pick earlier, I kind of shoehorned myself into picking Madison in this one.
I
Um,
was just thinking the same thing.
yeah, and because I don't pick draws on the show, I'm gonna go with Madison takes it
Oh
3 to
man,
2, three
three
to
to
two.
two. Wow.
A lot of offense,
Um,
but I think it'll be back and forth. I don't think it's gonna be like the matches we've seen recently, where it's been the team gets up two and then the other team charges back.
I'll go. I'll go Madison 2-1. So I'm going to go against all the hype that I was just
Mm.
spouting off for Northern Colorado, but I think Madison here and now is the better team. I think Northern Colorado could be a team that surprises as the season continues.
Mhm.
They're starting to find that gear, but I think here and now Madison is the better team.
This is definitely going to be a match of whose midfield shows up.
Yeah,
These are two really good midfield teams that can play through the middle and do it well. So, whatever team's midfield can kind of get a hold of this match is going to be able to kind of impose their will on the other team.
I think it's also a test for Eamon Zayed to test the striker situation there in Northern Colorado because when you don't have Irvin Para routinely taking the field, um, you got to put a lot more load on more guys, and so having to cycle them through and keep them healthy at the same time, that's a test.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and then Tim coming in again too. One Knox took two injuries on the night. Daniel Bertnez, God, I hate last name. Codable, Codable. I know I've heard it
Sure.
before too, and I just can't think of it at the moment. Looked like he pulled his hamstring, and James Thomas looked like he broke his wrist.
Broke his wrist.
Yeah,
Wow.
that was. It kind of looked that way. I don't. Thomas's no official words, just what it looked like on the broadcast is also what Tim's saying. Thomas' wrist looked very limp as he walked off the pitch. I noticed that too, Tim. But to me, it kind of looked like too that initially when he first started walking off, he could kind of move it a little bit. So I'm hoping it's not a broken wrist and more of just a sprain. But yeah, he did go down pretty hard on his challenge. And unfortunately, it was one of those where he was came in for a hard challenge and he got carded for the challenge, but ended up injuring himself, which obviously is worse than worse than getting a card.
Well, if Dalton Knutson can play with a cast, so can James Thomas.
Yeah, and we'll kind of just have to see. Luckily, you don't have to use your hands too much, so
Yeah,
just no
yeah.
throw-ins for him.
The perfect injury for the perfect sport.
Yeah, and Tim also saying a well-deserved yellow. Yeah, and he also said Thomas is not on Dalton's level. True, not very many players are. Um, Oh, so we'll move into the Saturday matches. 6 p.m. Central Time. We've got Greenville hosting One Knox. I I just I don't have the confidence in One Knox. I don't. And Greenville has looked better.
Yeah.
And to me, I just think Greenville's the better team in that one. I think Greenville's going to come out of there with a 2-0 victory, especially being at home against a One Knox side, which we still just don't know what this team can do. Hot and cold, and they were hot recently, so expecting them to take a little bit of a step back.
On a more important note, do you think One Knox is going to get a penalty in that match?
I I mean, if current run of form, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Either they're really good at getting penalties, or I mean, that just happenstance is that they just happen to get a lot of them. But who knows?
Just call him one PK from now on.
One penalty kick. Soup Loops saying, I say Greenville, they seem to have gotten some people back from injury lately, which is also true.
That is true. Yeah, they have.
Which a full strength Greenville squad is always going to be a squad to have to deal with for sure.
Yep. Good to hear from you, Soup Loops.
Yeah, definitely. Want to give a prediction on that one, Rich?
Ooh, yeah, I'll go Greenville. I'll go 1-0.
1-0.
I was leaning more toward 2-0, but I'll keep it 1-0.
Like that. The next match, also kicking off at 6 p.m., is Richmond hosting Lexington. This one's interesting. You've got
Yeah.
Richmond coming off of letting a 2-goal lead slip away
Yeah.
tonight, and you have Lexington coming off of that 1-0 victory versus Charlotte.
Yep.
So you got one team that seems like they're might have a little bit of a hangover from that loss today,
Exactly.
going against a super hot Lexington team, but a super inconsistent Lexington team. And if
Yeah.
history this season has told us anything, it's that Lexington is going to be hot and then cold.
It's
So,
emotional recoveries from opposite directions. Yeah.
just this is a tough one. I'm going with Lexington 2-1.
Whoa.
I think Lexington goes on the road to Richmond and gets it done. I think they start riding.
Whoa.
I think this is the time where Lexington puts it back together and has a Tucson-esque run just way earlier in the season.
Damn. Okay. I'm going the opposite direction. I'm going Richmond 3-1. Actually, I'll go Richmond 3-0.
3-0. Not
Yeah.
even they don't even get a point. Lexington
Yeah.
doesn't even get a goal in this game.
Yeah.
All right. Then half an hour after the previous two kick off, we have Chattanooga hosting Union Omaha. 6:30 p.m. Central Time. This is one, it feels like forever since Omaha's played, so I don't
I
even
know.
really remember how this team plays. Real quick, I'm going to jump back, and Soup Loops asked, did we notice Terzaghi was not in the lineup tonight?
Yeah.
Yep, we did, and it looked early like they weren't going to need him, Soup, but in the end, it looks like maybe they did, or
Didn't
maybe
they
they
play
could have just
without
used a defender.
Didn't they play without Nil Vinyals too?
They did. Neil Vinyals and Terzaghi were both out.
Yeah.
So you got to think that's a load management thing, like you said earlier, Rich.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, that's who knows now. After that match, they might not be resting him again. This might be a match that they thought they could overlook after that, but who knows now?
Yeah.
And Soup letting us know that Neil Vinyals has been injured per their podcast. So
That would explain it.
perfect. So Chattanooga versus Omaha. I don't feel like I even remember how Union Omaha plays, but I think it'll come back to me. This one, Chattanooga's on such a downhill slide. I think this is going to be the perfect match for Omaha to come back from a pretty decently long break and be able to take care of business. And it's Union Omaha, so they're not going to score a whole lot. But I'm going to go with 2-0 Union Omaha.
Okay. I was thinking 1-0.
Yeah. It's also fair. I wanted to give the benefit of the doubt to the strikers getting a little bit of extra rest there, and it's just
kick off that rust.
Yeah, and I mean it's just Chattanooga just does not look like a good team right now.
Yeah, but they always play well at the Den.
Very true, and their fans are, I think, rabid. Would that be the best term?
Hey, there you go. Yeah, there you go. It's a good
they're
one.
rabid supporters. So, it's always interesting when you go and play in Chattanooga. So,
yeah.
but I still think Omaha comes out of there with a victory. And then the nightcap on Saturday at 9 p.m.
Here we go, Soup Loops.
Is Central Valley Fuego hosting Tormenta. League One after dark. Gotta love it.
Oh, we got to jump back to Chattanooga, Omaha. Tim came in saying fans are lights out. Oh, Tim. Gotta love it.
Very good.
He's so damn quick with all those jokes, too.
All right. Central Valley and Tormenta. Soup Loops has some insights. Would love to hear him. Soup, what do you got?
Yeah. So while he's typing that out, what are you predicting for this one?
I mean, Central Valley, lack of a better term, I'm just going to come out and say it. They look god awful. They are a
Oh,
horrible team right now.
I thought you were going to predict them to win.
No. Central Valley just is a giant mess right now, and
They are.
Tormenta is a good side. And I think they have way too much firepower for Fuego to be able to keep up with.
Yeah.
It just, especially if they get back Keziah Sterling, or I mean, honestly, just Keziah Sterling makes this team so much more deadly.
Yeah.
So
And Toby Otieno's been having a really good season too. I mean, yeah, they've got firepower there in Tormenta.
yeah, and Central Valley just something is mightily wrong with that team right now. As I mean, when you have front office fighting with supporters, and you have the majority of vocal supporters saying that they want a coaching change or have wanted a coaching change for a while, I mean, it doesn't look good. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, I'm picking Tormenta on this one.
I'm going Tormenta 2-0.
All right with that. So Soup Loops saying he talked to Sterling and Bosa. Both of them seem poised to come back.
Good.
Bosa has been cleared to play, and Sterling has gotten a solid 2 weeks of training in. So that spells trouble for Central Valley.
Yes, it does.
Could be one of those get right matches, maybe. Looking on the bright side for Central Valley. Maybe this sparks it. Speaking it into existence just for the sake of some Central Valley fans' sanity at this point. But we'll kind of have to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Soup Loop's also saying, I'm not saying they're going to come out swinging, but I feel like both of them will bring back the morale of the rest of the guys. Up. I know I would love to see them just out there doing their thing.
Yeah.
As would anybody who is a fan of the league, to be honest.
Yep.
We'd love to see, I want to see all the top guys in and playing every week and playing at their peak.
Yep. That's what you want.
And then the final match this weekend is on Sunday at 1 o'clock Central Time.
Forgot about that one.
Charlotte hosting NCFC.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's the ticket right there.
Yeah. Yes, it is. That's
the Dogwood Derby, isn't it?
I believe so. 1 and 2. The Dogwood Derby. That's a tough one to predict.
Yeah.
Charlotte obviously is gonna want to right what happened to them this last week, and NCFC's coming in off of that comeback victory against Richmond. So, on one hand, you got to think NCFC is going to be might be a little bit gassed because of the style of play that Richmond has, that very high press, high intensity style, and them having to score 3 goals in 15 minutes to get that W. But then again, there is a ton, and another ton of firepower on Charlotte's squad. So that is also going to stretch you out quite a bit.
Yeah, so back in week 4, these two drew 1-1. That was hosted by North Carolina on that one. So with this week, seeing Charlotte host, um, we'll see if any fireworks, go off. But yeah, I'm going to lead toward North Carolina, despite the fact they played tonight and they have to turn around and play again on Sunday. I'm still leaning toward North Carolina.
Mm.
I'll stay like 1-0 though.
I'm also going to go with North Carolina. I think something that Lexington did kind of unlocked that Charlotte defense that I thought has been sketchy at times. I think Lexington kind of threw out the blueprint to hurt them, and I think teams are going to see that and capitalize on it. Um, I do think Charlotte gets a goal in this one, but North Carolina gets two, which has
Okay.
been the thing with Charlotte that I've said all along. You have all this firepower, but if you let two goals in and you only score one, then you still lose.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a reasonable prediction.
Right. So, have anything else from anybody watching the live stream? Be happy to answer any questions you guys might have. Give you a couple minutes to get in on that. But um, other than that,
Oh, Tim said that they revealed the 2026 World Cup logo tonight. I thought that was tomorrow night. Oh man, I'll have to check out that logo. Let me look it up real quick.
yeah, looking it
You
up
guys
right
can get
now.
my initial reaction.
Okay.
2026
Okay.
doesn't seem like anything special.
I can put it on the screen up over my face here.
I like the way that it incorporates the maple leaf, the star, and then you know the Mexico green. But I mean, it's nothing special.
Hmm. Where am I seeing it?
Soup Loop's coming in saying, "I promise I'm going to get you guys that food list for Statesboro." My wife keeps reminding me. Yeah, so I have seen some good pictures from around the league lately, and making me jealous. I didn't know that Union Omaha had the mac and cheese over the barbecue,
Yeah.
or the other way around. Whatever,
Hmm.
man. I did not know that. Next time I'm at Warner Park, I'm definitely getting that because that looked good.
I'm not a big mac and cheese guy, but even to me that looked pretty good.
And then Tim coming in saying, like I said, it's dot 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 a logo. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with you, Tim. It's nothing special. It's nothing, overly fancy. It's not overdone. It's a simple logo. Nothing, no big deal.
Hmm.
Whatever. I just hope there's not some sort of like an abomination of a mascot that they choose for it. I don't even know why there is a mascot for a World Cup. Just host the tournament without a stupid mascot.
Hmm.
That's one thing I like about soccer versus pretty much every other American sport. In soccer, it's just the city and then football club, soccer club, United, Union, whatever. That's the club. Like you don't need, NFL. You have the city followed by the moniker.
Hmm.
Every single team has one. I think that's stupid. I think it's overdone. You start having these stupid monikers coming out and that are just silly. Um, so yeah, that's what I like about soccer.
Why that happened? Cool. For some reason, I went back to the starting soon screen. Came back.
Uh
Okay.
oh.
The sound actually still worked.
Oh, okay, cool.
So the sound is still there. We're good.
So Tim calling me out. You mean like Chattanooga Red Wolves? Yes, I unfortunately do mean like Chattanooga Red Wolves.
Yes. Hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, it's going to be a good weekend of matches, that's for sure. Looking forward
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that Sunday match because I completely forgot about that one. And
Yeah,
that's the strongest one of the weekend too.
supposed to be like the marquee match. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry if that came through.
that's right.
Mhm.
All right, well, I got nothing else. You got anything?
I got nothing. Um, Hanging out, watching some matches, and pretty much it. Oh,
Nice.
I actually do. Congrats
Oh,
to the
hey, bring
Miami
it.
Heat. Congrats to the Miami Heat for beating the Boston Celtics tonight.
Final score?
It's just saw it too a few minutes ago. 123 to 116.
Oh, okay, cool. I love how in the NBA, sometimes when the point spread is like 10 points, the press will come out and say so and so dominated over the other team. Like it was 10 points. That's a easy momentum shift in basketball.
Yeah, that's why I like playoff basketball, man. And you know what too is like sometimes you get these really high scoring games, and other times you get like 85 to 73.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, everybody in Miami stepped up tonight. That's awesome.
cool.
Sorry, I had to throw that one in, guys.
No, you're good. All right, everybody, that is another episode of League One on the Rocks. Plenty of action coming this weekend. Stay tuned for more content from us. We're going to throw some more graphics at you. We're going to throw some more tweets at you. So be ready to join us again on Friday and Sunday night when we do those shows. Going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to look into some fun, creative questions to ask Brian during those. So we have some good conversation topics thrown at you. Feel free to chime in with any questions or comments during those streams as well. We're going to have a fun time on those episodes too.
Definitely.
All right, everybody. Take care. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks, guys.